We got another position battle to talk about as we head into training camp for the Seahawks. The offensive line. There is one vulnerable spot where NFL insiders and the people that know about the Seahawks, that want to talk about the Seahawks, are focusing in on a battle between a rookie and an incumbent that I don't know if I'd necessarily say, like, this could decide the fate of the Seahawks, but when you've got a bad offensive lineman, there is a certain amount of trickle down that impacts the success of a team that maybe doesn't happen the way if you got a bad kicker or a bad strong side safety or something like that. Follow me along on this one. Like I said, like, subscribe, comment, share, all those other buttons, because we got a bunch of stuff coming out. Yesterday I was talking about some other positions that we are going to be seeing, having some disagreements, discussions, battles, whatever you want to call it, going into training camp. This was the article that caught my attention today, talking about an overlooked rookie, none other than Bo Stevens out of Iowa. Beau Stevens out of Iowa sounds like a true offensive lineman and someone that I would trust at his size and weight to be out there really moving earth. We got some nitty-gritty numbers to get into about all of it. Before we get there, though, we got to say real quick, thank you to Prize Picks, America's #1 sports pick app. Best way to get in on the action right now. If you want to get in on the action, use the code DIGEST when you download it. They'll give you $50 when you play your first $5 in lineups. Okay, Anthony Bradford is the incumbent Seattle Seahawk that in this article was identified as the weak spot in their offensive line, and the person who will be potentially battling it out with the previously mentioned Bo Stevens, the 5th round pick. I said earlier this offseason that I didn't necessarily trust rookies at the offensive line as much as I trusted them at other positions, just given like I said earlier in this video, the importance to me of the offensive line and how it is key to really getting the rest of it cooking. So you need to maximize that protection. When I said that, a lot of you hopped in the comment section and were like, no, like, you got to play your best guys. Rookies are coming out of college, like, ready to go, and they're so in diving into the numbers, it is interesting to me that there is there's an actual case to be made, and it's hard with the offensive line sometimes to really truly quantify on it, but to call it a legitimate threat for Anthony Bradford's spot, you gotta, at least for me, you gotta pay that a little deference, pay it a little bit of attention. The people at Pro Football Focus. And then as this article kind of LOLs, subscription required in parentheses. I love that. No subscriptions ever required here at Seahawks Digest. 25 total pressures in his 5 years, 4 in his final season. Didn't give up a sack in 4 out of 5 years. The 3rd highest grade and the highest pass blocking, or 3rd highest overall grade and the highest pass blocking grade amongst almost 700 eligible linemen being rated. It's pretty good. Pretty good. The having a difference, they talk about the highest possible passing blocking. I think it is interesting that you don't really like rotate your linemen to be like, oh, we're going to run play, so let's get this guy in there. Oh, we're going to pass play, we're going to get this guy in there. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're asking rookies to go ahead and not just make a schematic jump, not just make an athletic jump, not just make a speed of the game, like, to do all of that in a way that, if I'm talking about like Ty Okada versus any of the rookies coming in at safety, like, you can hypothetically see Mike Macdonald be like, all right, this guy's a little bit more of our run stopper, this guy's a little bit more of our pass defender, this guy's in with nickel, this guy's in with dime, this guy's in with this guy's over there with that. And it's not perceived as any sort of slight. The offensive line, you more or less want to be like, here's our 5 dudes, and we're going to stick with them. So it's an interesting kind of all or nothing, all one way or the other type decision. The numbers that they then break down for Bradford, and granted that the Bo Stevens numbers were amongst his entire college career versus this is just last season for Bradford. So different overall sample size, but nonetheless still starkly different numbers. 38 pressures last year, 27 hurries, 6 quarterbacks hit, 5 sacks, the 5th lowest pass blocking grade at a 40.8, and his 5 penalties held the offense back over and over and over. To see an almost 55-point difference between the two guys in the pass blocking, and to have our offense be one where I think that if I'm assigning one way versus the other, what's the most important part of our offense? I'd say 60-40, the pass to the run game, maybe 70-30 even. JSN, Rashid Shaheed, Cooper Cupp, even the tight ends this year, I think, are all going to absolutely be feasting with Sam Darnold and Brian Fleury. And now we still got to use the run to set up the pass. Darian Price is very interesting. I'm not discounting the run game, but to have a guy that is specifically very good at pass blocking, or infinitely better at pass blocking than our current guy at that position, I'm a little bit more interested in making that adjustment than I had been previously this offseason, with the carte blanche statement that I made of just being like, I don't really trust rookies at the offensive line position. So I'm curious what you guys think. Do you automatically give it to, hey, it's Bradford's spot, and then Bo Stevens has to end up winning it? Are you just like, hey, let's mix these reps and see what we got? Do you need, what do you need to see out of an offensive line battle? Because I think a lot of the other ones are super quantifiable of Price versus Holani. We'll see who's running well enough. You can just sort of know, I think, instinctively, and look at it and be like, boom, boom, 1, 2. You can look at who's going to be the wide receiver number 6 and be like, okay, I like that guy. That guy doesn't have it. With the linemen, these numbers are fantastic to use right now, but I still just am entirely a little bit, maybe entirely and a little bit are a little oxymoronic there, but I am a moron talking about just things on the internet, but you know what I'm saying. It's an interesting one to be like, do you trust the preseason sample size, given that after that first drive or two, Bo Stevens could potentially be out there just smashing the 3s and 4s from other teams and not really fully getting that true NFL speed? Or do you just be like, no, it's not, if we've got a guy who's obviously an upgrade, let's just give it to him until he otherwise proves unready for the moment? Let me know what you think. Drop a comment. Let me know. You guys all see the game fantastically differently than I do. It'll help me appreciate it better. Before we get out of here, we got to say another thing of appreciation to Prize Picks, America's #1 sportsbook app. Best way to get in on the action. And right now, if you're a new user and you want to get in on the action, Prize Picks is looking to hook you up. They'll, if you use that code DIGEST when you're hitting the link that we have to download, they'll hook you up with $50 when you play your first $5 in lineups. If you're a returning user, Prize Picks has a bunch of great promotions going on. Taco Tuesdays, all Tuesday, every Tuesday. Their board is serving up discounted projections, and then you can close out your week with your Flex Friday bonus. Use that Flex Friday bonus to boost your payouts by up to 40%. Prize Picks, America's #1 sports pick app, and the best way to get in on the action. That's what I got for you today. Hang in there. I'll talk to you guys soon.